Yeah, the last days I had different threads that kind of went through the practice. Like one was just a question, what is really my most important question? So and I was pondering a few times on that, and there was this part of intimacy, which showed up first as I want to develop intimacy with everything, and then there was like no, probably not. It feels strange to be intimate with everything, and then is it possible to be intimate without any reference to oneself and the other? So yeah, that kind of is leading me through these days at the moment. So what the question of what is intimacy, and on the other hand, in the practice, I try to come back to one of the the practices that were introduced, I think, in Angelo's retreat, still the discerning of sensation and thought. It's like to try to stay in the unbound consciousness, and then realizing when thought is arising, and then just I thought this image I always see you like this just entering the thought. Then I realized this is also a thought. So
Yeah.
and there it starts for me becoming a bit blurry, just like I get really intense contact with the sensations, but then when I feel a thought forming, it starts to get really hard to distinguish from sensation. So and then I question, am I not attentive, or am I just getting tired of this exercise and I should change to another one, maybe more like metta, or with a topic of intimacy. And then there was also within intimacy, there was today the question arising, is intimacy going to the things, or let the things arrive or come, or is it just no movement at all? Is it just like every movement and every step? I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah.
puzzling. Yeah.
Yeah. This intimacy thing, it is a word, as every word, like you can just make up your own definition of it, right? So it is a little bit tricky to use it in that context. Just because it does, because the way we always use that word, which is always between two things, right? I mean, yeah, it's hard to imagine kind of other possibility, right? And yet, but the word, it is kind of describing well certain quality, right? Certain kind of feel. That's why in the end, for lack of a better word, it's used. But the thing is, it's not about you, right, becoming intimate with anything, because that very you is simply nothing but just like a composite of elements that you take that to be, right, you, something that can move and can do those things. But rather it's more about the quality that radiates from everything, every sound, every sensation, every color. Everything is filled with that sense of intimacy, or like the word intimacy is used because when the sense of subject being there drops, and there's just that, therefore there's no separation anymore. And when there's no separation, things are experienced in a radically direct way. And this directness, this singularity of them, can be experienced intimately almost, right? It feels like, yeah, like some sense of yeah, like just closing in a gap, right? It just directness rather, right?
What is the relation to metta? Is it the same thing in a way, or is this like this pecking inside, pecking outside?
You mean the relationship to meta
And
between
this
that non-dual kind
yeah,
of
and this intimacy.
clarity? Yeah, I would say so, because it is related in that way, that when our heart is loving, right, and it kind of dissolves those hard boundaries, right? Because in life we usually move from that place of, you know, people, objects, everything, and kind of navigating that, and having very clear sort of, um, I like this, I don't like that, this can benefit me, this is loss, this is gain, right? All those little things, the habitual way of dividing reality into pieces. But when we just rest in the directness of, um, just this sense of well-being that spills out, and kind of like wants everything to take part in it, right? All that melts away the boundaries, and then suddenly everything is embraced in it, because there is no, um, boundary, you can say, right?
Mm.
But in the same way, same with the, unbound consciousness, right? You can let's say, keep merging into every thought form, and then when, like, everything, the whole consciousness is kind of like knowing itself. There's this like knowingness and beingness that just is unlimited, right? Like it's open. um then, also there's this sense of radical intimacy, but it's not like, an experiencer of it feeling intimate
Mm.
with that. It's just the whole field is filled with that feeling of, yeah, it's non-separation. That's what it is. It's just lack of division. It's finally like something healed, that was kind of apparently ripped apart almost, right? Like the sense of being apart from reality.
Mm.
And then when it kind of comes back together, um, or I mean, to be precise, it's not like it's coming back together. It's like that apparent separation just seen to have been false, and that falls
Mm.
away, and then singularity remains. Just that,
Mm. Mm.
just whatever, just the appearance are radically direct, and recognized by themselves, right, in their nature.
Mm.
um, and that, not to that, non-separation, which is singularity, which is right. It's not oneness of two things merging into
Mm.
one.
Mm.
It's oneness of that apparent apartness have seen to be illusion all the way.
Mm.
It always was. And therefore the one and only thing shines, and
Mm.
it's very direct.
Is it in a way like experience without distraction or without entanglement? Because it sometimes feels so that when you're staying with the senses, and then thoughts are coming into. I observed how the attention gets entangled, and it's a lot about like this is something that is important, or this is urgent, or
Mm,
whatever thought is arising, or this is meaningful, and then attention goes there, and then
mm-hmm,
it's there's not the openness to what arises anymore, but more like this bridge of preparing for the next moment. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
I mean, in like you can say, like, in ultimate sense, like, even those things are exactly like that, right? Even delusion is of a nature of like, it's just nothing else but that, but it's just the same arising. But of course, if there's a lot of, still, like, a gravitational pull in thought, that is, like, um just imposing on it a little bit of that kind of anticipation, or like evaluation, or this movement, then, it has an impact on how you're experiencing things, right?
Mm. Mm.
um but what was the exercise you were talking about again? I forgot.
It was more like yeah, feeling into the senses, into yes, staying in the sounds,
Yeah.
and recognizing like, ah, okay, there's this sign like, oh, it's a car, and this, but yeah, but how does it really sound? And then diving into that and let it through just the sound itself.
Mm-hmm.
Then I get easily distracted sometimes
Mm-hmm.
into thought, and then the story starts, and then I feel, oh, okay, I'm back in the story, so I get back to the senses, and then I get kind of tired of that. Sometimes I
Yeah.
ah. then,
Yeah.
then I just try to let everything go, maybe just come back to meta, or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then I feel a bit puzzled, or I don't know, maybe I'm just getting tired a little bit,
Mm.
or I don't know what I could do in this
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I know what you should do, right? But so what feels important right now? Like, at this point of time, right? What calls, like, I mean, doing all those things are perfectly fine, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
working with senses or doing meta, or doing some other practice, right? But it's trying to find that intuitive feel, what is actually called for,
Yeah.
right?
So I think for me it's the finding the effortless way of redirecting to the senses, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel I can make out of it an effort,
Mm-hmm.
or like beating me up a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like, why did you? And then instead of just coming back and
Mm.
also accepting thought,
Yeah.
because this is sometimes puzzling. Like it can maybe also be okay if thought is here,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't relate to it in a
Yeah.
identity way, like getting something out of the thought. Yeah, maybe I could
Yeah. No, I mean,
investigate
all
that.
those. I think all those intuitions are correct, right? Like,
Mm.
I think Adyashanti was saying that so, let's say when you get lost in thought during meditation, right? When you realize that that was the case, remember also to like have actually attitude of gratitude. Just say thank you rather than say like, oh my God, why have I
Mm-hmm.
again lost
Mm-hmm.
in thought, because it's like almost you're training your nervous system that you're doing something
Mm-hmm.
wrong when you finally catch that you are thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So rather, whenever you find yourself, it's a moment of grace, right? It's, like getting lost in a thought is almost
Mm-hmm.
like getting lost in a dream, like a mini dream, right? Like it's just when you're really kind of absorbed in that thought, and forgetting kind of what you are doing or surroundings to some
Mm-hmm.
degree. It's almost like a little hypnotic state,
Mm-hmm.
like a mini version of that what happens in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
So when you wake up, it's like, oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's something to
Mm-hmm.
celebrate rather than to
Yeah.
mourn.
Yeah. Usually it's not such a long time, and
Yeah.
then yeah, like I also have the same with the like counting the breath.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't know. I do it often like from 1 to 5, from 1 to 10, 1 to 15, and then
Mm-hmm.
if I miss one, then I start from 1 to 5 again.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think like, would I put my hand into the fire that I now really counted already the four or not? Then I start again.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah. But then I just keep on with that.
Yeah, and
Mm.
also,
Yeah.
like sometimes look at, who is in the midst of that, wanting to decide which practice,
Mm.
this good practice, is that, it's like look
Mm.
at that movement itself too.
Mm.
Like, what is it, right? Like,
Mm.
do I find in that a little bit more like because there are thoughts that are easy to be like, oh, if I'm thinking about what dressing I should do for dinner, like it was like, okay, this is a lunch thought, whatever, right? But then when the thought comes, it's like, oh, which practice I should do, maybe this and that, especially while if you're already in the meditation, right?
Mm.
Then somehow it's just easier to identify with that thought because it feels like, oh no, I'm totally deciding what I'm doing in meditation. That's right.
Mm. Mm.
But yet it's exactly that same thing as about the dressing. There's no difference.
Mm.
It's arising, and thoughts are just like, just trying to call for your attention, for you to kind of like, oh, that's my voice, that's me, right? Like it's almost this
Mm.
instant identification happens. So also, I would just be careful, if you, let's say, decide on some meditation, let's say one period at the beginning of the period of meditation, don't change it, right? If the
Mm.
thought comes and
Mm.
says like, oh, maybe this time I should be doing it, It's like just see, because then you also break the habit of actually listening to thoughts and taking them as statements of truth that will they are your friends that are helping you evaluate the situation, right? It's more like, okay, if you have committed, let's say you're doing the listening, right? And again, I wasn't perfectly sure if you said there's like some extra step there of like this, but let's say, when you practice, or simply when the listening happens, right, when the sounds are arising, there's no need to like necessarily like discern anything about them. It's just experiencing their nature, whatever the sound is happening, just really experiencing what it is. And it's like with the curiosity of a child, right? It's not like an effortful thing that you are are trying to do right. It's more literally like when you go, let's say, to the beach at the seaside. You haven't been at the beach for a while, and you're just laying at the sand, and then those waves are coming, right? And you let yourself just like completely, the sound of waves replace you, right? With that kind of, yeah, just fascination, but also like allowing quality, rather than like kind of
researching and
yeah. And then once you have that just natural intimate contact with the sound, you can do a little investigation in terms of like, oh, is there a hearer of that sound, right? Is there someone actually here that knows this sound, or is it just the sound? And but again, it's like, it's very nothing to do with intellectual. It's literally just investigation of a direct experience only, and nothing else, right?
Yeah, I feel there I put a bit effort in it. I want to get something clarity out of it instead of just dwelling in it.
Yeah. It's more of like a yeah, it's more like, I don't know, let's say when you're in a forest, and suddenly there's like very, very odd sound, and it could be a bird, it could be an animal or something, right? And you're just like listening to this sound, they're fully receptive, and it's arising, and but yet it's nothing kind of you're trying to work on here, right? It's more that like, oh, what is that? What is this thing called sound? What's its nature, right? And just this kind of very sensitive and open way of because it's mysterious in some way, right? Like if we don't think this or that, it's very mysterious, this thing called sound or anything really. But so it's kind of reconnecting with that, with what is the raw experience of, right? It's very, very strange. You just just keep open to it, keep curious. It's like a miracle happening, and you don't need to manage it in any way. It's just like
Thanks a lot.
yeah.